is everybody? Welcome all. I think it is time for us to begin. Greetings to Dr. Kaushik. How are you?
Good, sir. How are you, sir? A
Yeah,
long time.
thank you very much. Long time seeing you.
Yeah,
And we
same
are
here.
indeed very, very happy to welcome two VIPs today. I think we'll have to ask the other fellow presenters to mute because there is some audio disturbance. So, warm welcome to all the attendees. And as we proceed, there will be other people joining in. So, very warm welcome to the main presenters of the day. And that is to Dr. Ramesh sir, who is the principal of Adi Chunchandgiri College of Pharmacy. And we have Dr. Raghavendra sir from the Department of Community Medicine in Adi Chunchandgiri Institute of Medical Sciences. So, Adi Chunchandgiri University, which is a well-known one across the world and including in India, has a lush green unitary campus at 67 acres size in BG Nagara, Nagmangala, Mandya district, which is actually very near to Bangalore. So you just have to go for about 2 hours and you reach this beautiful campus, which provides facilities for thousands of students to study. And interestingly, the basic education schooling is free of charge to all the students. And that's because Sri Adi Chunchandgiri Samsthana Mutt, which runs this institution, is a 1,500-year-old socio-cultural spiritual institution, and they believe in offering free schooling education to the needy. The Adi Chunchandgiri College of Pharmacy was founded in 1981, and this is a drone view of the entire Adi Chunchandgiri area, including the mutt. And the vision of the Mahaswamiji, the pontiff who established the educational ventures of this mutt, include giving free food, free knowledge, helping in the health of people, offering shelter, and so on. This is an absolutely secular mutt which offers to each and every needy person. The current 72nd pontiff of Adi Chunchandgiri Mahasamsthana Mutt is actually an MTech IIT Chennai qualified person, and Swamiji has also got good grip over Sanskrit, Advaita School of Philosophy, and also the philosophy, which is the tradition behind the mutt, and that is the Natha tradition. So, interesting place, isn't it? So, you should visit that. Now, let us see something about the COVID 19. COVID 19, as you are aware, is basically a zoonotic infection, which means that the parasite, the infectious agent, has jumped from the animal world into the human. Yes, the reverse is also possible. That is also called as a zoonotic infection. So then you may be wondering that is it really possible that from wildlife we get the human infections that is jumping from the wildlife? Well, for that, look at this very interesting phenomenon which took place during the lockdown. It was called as anthropause. What does this anthropause mean? It was a term that was coined to refer to the coronavirus induced lockdown period and its impact on other species. Look at the interesting photographs which came up during the anthropause time. You had deer which gathered around a souvenir shop in Nara, Japan. So, obviously, such a thing would not have happened in the normal times. Then you had a lot of deer, playing on the Abbey Castle grounds in Great Britain. And you also have an interesting picture right from Allahabad, Prayagraj, where a badger is seen on a road which has come from the wild. And here you can see a pelican of all the things at the St. James Park in London, sitting next to a person on the bench. And this is an interesting photograph where a fox carrying a squirrel is seen in Toronto. Here is another anthropos photograph where a sea lion has come right from the sea towards the resort, probably looking why human visitors are not there. This is a very interesting photograph in a slum in Mumbai. Actually, there are certain green belts which contain the deer, and this deer had strayed into the slum and it had fallen through the roof into the house. It was pretty stunned and it was lying there for some time till the forest officials came and took it away. This is another interesting photograph where you can see the African pelican taking a walk in Cape Town. And these are the peacocks in New Delhi, otherwise, they will be scared to go on the main road. And what a shock this jogger must have got when he saw a fox in Tel Aviv on the main road. Well, these are all the interesting photographs, and this clearly indicates actually our interface with the animal world is definitely there. One interesting viral disease which comes right from the domestic or the wild dog is the rabies. This viral infection which is actually preventable, is a very common zoonotic infection. And it can be dangerous. It's virtually fatal. And it usually spreads through bites, scratches, and also through the saliva. So when the infected saliva enters the wound, that is how it causes the infection in the individual. So vaccinating the dogs is the most cost-effective strategy. And so there are two types of rabies, which is the furious rabies, where there is hydrophobia or the fear of water. And there is also the paralytic rabies, which is about 20% of the human cases. So in this, there is paralysis of the human body. So rabies is another viral zoonotic disease, which we are targeting to bring down to zero by 2030. Various types of microbes are there, including the viruses, which cause these zoonotic infections. Viruses are basically a core of RNA or DNA surrounded by a protein. It's as simple as that. So it enters into the human cell or the parasite cell, and then it infects that. So you see, the virus is also coming from the word visha or vias, which means poison. So for years, ages together, people have always visualized the virus as something that is a poisonous substance. So is it a chemical or is it a living thing? Well, that's to debate even to this day. But it is considered to be a microbe and a living thing. The SARS-CoV-2 virus caused a pandemic, but we have had such pandemics in the earlier times also. For example, in the 6th century, you had this plague called as Justinian plague, which actually took away something like 50 million Europeans, 50 to 60 million people died, which is almost half the population at that time. Half the world's population were killed because of the Justinian plague, which was caused by Yersinia pestis. The Spanish pandemic influenza in 1918 to 1919, you'll see the similar type of pictures here. You see there is the isolation wards and a huge converted stadium into the wards, and wear mask is the dictum which has been given. All these black and white photographs reflect what is happening today in the colored world which we are into. So the origin of the COVID-19 pandemic, you will recollect, is the Wuhan wildlife wet market, where all sorts of wildlife materials are sold, including the bear meat, dog meat, and so on. The bat is considered to be a reservoir of the viruses. Lot of pathogenic viruses are there, and then they move these viruses from the bat onto the other animals which are coming into contact with the humans. For example, when it went to the civet cat, it caused the SARS-CoV-2. When it went to the Arabian camel, it caused the MERS. And it is suggested that the pangolin is the animal through which it came into the human population. So this pangolin is prized for its scales and also its skin. So bush meat, which is a delicacy in Africa, is also causing a lot of viruses to jump from the animal world to the human. Like, for example, you have got the Ebola virus coming into the stream like that. So COVID-19 virus, which causes mild, moderate, and severe respiratory illness, but it is more dangerous for those who have got underlying medical problems like cardiovascular disease, is basically an invisible biological attacker which has got a spike protein surface, and that latches onto the ACE2 receptors. There is the injection of the viral RNA into the cell, and then there is the multiplication of the virus, and that's how the transmission takes place. So it's essential to reduce the viral load, for which there are various types of mechanisms which are done. Now, the pharmacist who is a corona warrior should understand that not only is this virus transmitted through coughing or breathing, but also through speaking, that is through salivary droplets. It is important to note that this tends to settle in the upper respiratory system. So that is why the virus population explodes in the URT, that is the upper respiratory tract infection. One very important factoid here: there are 2.5 microscopic saliva droplets which are released whenever a word is uttered. So what does it indicate? It indicates that whenever you speak, the transmission of this virus is taking place. And this SARS-CoV-2 virus can even get transmitted through the eye. So this is another interesting point for us to note, that if you spend time for as little as 10 minutes with an infected individual without a mask, it is definitely possible that you will be catching that virus. They have done a study in Bangalore. A clinical autopsy was done on the dead body of a COVID-19 patient who died after the 14 days of treatment. It has revealed that the virus was active in the mouth, throat, and nasal area 18 hours after his death. And when they examined the lungs of this patient who died, instead of being like a spongy ball, it was like a leather ball. Normally, it weighs around 700 grams, the uninfected lung, but here it weighed almost 2 kgs, 2.18 kgs, and the texture was leathery. There were a lot of blood clots, and the air sacs were ruptured. So you can imagine what a havoc and destruction it makes on the lung tissue. So COVID-19 remains on the dead body for a long time. So strong immunity is important, for which you will have to consume. And as pharmacists, we have to market the vitamin A, C, D, zinc, polyphenols, and zinc has got antiviral effects. Please remember, zinc is not stored in the body and daily intake is required. A lot of good antiviral effects are there. The aerosol route of transmission is well established now. So obviously, we have to take into consideration that we should not be in close contact. That's why social distancing is emphasized, and also the wearing of the mask. There is, of course, the symptoms of tiredness, fever, dry cough, and the vulnerable subjects are diabetics and hypertensives. Lot of studies have been seen, and there are COVID-19 complications which are well known. It causes the blood clotting. There are cardiovascular complications. The cytokine storm is also there. The ground glass effect is observed in the lungs. And the COVID toes, typical inflammatory red toes which are formed, anosmia, loss of smell, loss of taste. And here is an interesting case where the skin color due to the treatment as well as the infection has changed of this Chinese patient. So you can imagine what a devastating disease this can be. And Kawasaki disease-like symptoms have been seen in the COVID-19 pediatric patients, so which means generalized inflammatory condition will occur in the children. So it is essential for us to avoid the super spreading situations like where singing is done, where in bars, in karaoke centers and gyms, where heavy breathing is there. Stop touching men, that is the mouth, eyes and nose. And also learn the right way of hand washing. Once again, we reiterate, it's between the fingers, the tips of the fingers. So the nails are also cleaned and in between the fingers. So this is the way the washing has to be done, either with a sanitizer or it is with the soap solution. So now it is seen that to reduce the viral load, you can use various types of oral care preparations, and various drugs are also, particularly remdesivir. The government has said that remdesivir manufacturing has to increase because it is very clearly seen that remdesivir is one of the life-saving drugs. So we are expecting more number of cases to come in. Alcohol does not kill viruses inside the body. It only kills outside the body. So alcoholics, please understand, you are not sterilizing yourself by taking your regular tipple if you are taking. Now is the time for Pharmaquisitive. I'm looking at the chat box. Dr. Kaushik is also looking at the chat box. So the first question will come up. There's a gift hamper for those who answer the questions, right answers more number of times. So here, interesting question. It is a little difficult. Okay, how many doses are there in one vial of the vaccine sold in India? It's a tough question, I understand. I start with a tough question. Any answers, please type in. How many doses are there in one vial of the vaccine sold in India? It could be whichever vaccine, Covishield, Covaxin, whatever it is, but how many are there? Okay, 2. Okay, Dr. Lakshmi Shah takes it, 10. Dr. Lakshmi Shah takes it, 10. He is the first. Are you making a note, Kaushik sir? Dr. Lakshmi Shah has answered. Next question. Which company has got the order to manufacture Sputnik vaccine? Let us see that. Which company has got the order to manufacture the Sputnik vaccine? Let us see who will be able to catch this point. If you are reading the newspapers, you will be coming to know this. Sputnik is a vaccine from Russia. And in India, there is a company which has got the order. Dr. Reddy Labs has not got it for manufacturing. There is one more company. Let us see. Not Dr. Reddy Labs is going to market it, but manufacturing, somebody has got it. Somebody, not Hetero. You are very, very good guess. Not Hetero, not Serum Institute. Somebody else. Ranjita, very good guess. Yes, Dr. Reddy. No. Try one more vaccine manufacturer. Name starts with P. Name starts with P. I'm giving a hint here. Which is that vaccine manufacturer? Name starts with P, and he has got the order to manufacture Sputnik vaccine. Name starts with P, not B. Yes, anybody taking a guess? Not Pfizer, it's an Indian company. It's an Indian company. Not Pfizer, Pradeep. It's an Indian company. I don't want to give the answer. Okay. Yes, Tripathi is correct. It is Panacea Biotech. Tripathi is correct. It is Panacea Biotech. Now let us see the next question. Name the vaccine produced by Bharat Biotech. This is a sitter. Let us see who will answer this fast. The first person to answer this question. Name the vaccine produced by Bharat Biotech. It is a sitter question. Let us see. No answers? Name the question. Name the vaccine produced by Bharat Biotech. Covaxin. Yes, who was that first? Not Covishield. You got it wrong, Tripathi. Okay. First who said Covaxin is Suchinder. Okay. It is Suchinder. I'm making a note. Let us see the next question. Give the number of weeks between the first and second doses of the Bharat Biotech vaccine. How many weeks difference is there between the first and the second dose in the case of Bharat Biotech vaccine? I am very clear. Covaxin, Bharat Biotech vaccine, between the first and the second dose, how many weeks do you give a gap? Yes, anybody? Anybody? 4 weeks. Who told? Mohit told first. Harish, Sangeeta. Okay, Hemant. Okay, Hemant. We'll take down Hemant's name. His came first. Okay, let's go to the next question. There is another interesting question. Name the vaccine in use in India which has an adenovirus vector with COVID-19 mRNA. With COVID-19 mRNA, there is an adenovirus vector in that. Which is that vaccine which is currently used in India? Make a guess quick. If you have been reading about it, you will be knowing. Yes, it is actually a sitter question. Yes, Covishield. Suchinder, you have got 2 correct. Congratulations. I have made a note of your name. So Suchinder has got 2 correct. Next question. Which vaccine needs to be stored at minus 70 degrees centigrade during the transportation? Which vaccine needs to be stored at minus 70 degrees centigrade? Minus 70. Yes, anybody? Which vaccine has to be stored at minus 70? It gave a shock when it was first announced that vaccines have to be stored at ultra cold temperature. No, not J&J, not Covaxin. Wrong. Yes, Lakshmi Shah sir is correct. And that is the Pfizer vaccine. Pfizer vaccine is correct. It is stored at minus 70 degrees. So Lakshmi Shah sir has got 3 correct. Next, what is Comirnaty? Anybody can guess. What is Comirnaty? Comirnaty. Anybody can guess? Please write down in your chat box. What is Comirnaty? Yes, this is a tongue twister and it is also a challenging question. Let us see if you are abreast with the latest developments. What is Comirnaty? Anybody? People are still guessing. No answers rolling in. Come on, gentlemen. Don't do the Google search. Try to answer fast. What is Comirnaty? No, it is not corona. Comirnaty. If you are not giving the answer, I'll have to give the answer. It is a vaccine to treat COVID. Okay, which company? Sindhu, you are correct. Pradeep is also correct. Tell me which is the company. Which company manufactures Comirnaty? Yes, Hemant is also correct. But which? I think these are all Google answers because there is no company mentioned in that. Yes, what is Comirnaty? Let us see who will give the company's name. Many Google answers have come in. Some have written from their own mind. Yes. Which company manufactures Comirnaty? No, not EMA. That is an agency. I'm talking about a company, Tripathi. Comirnaty, which is, come on, pharmacists who are here, you should be knowing. Doctors, pharmacists, nurses, all of you are here. And even the layman. Yes, Dr. Yunus Pasha is correct. Yunus Pasha has correctly said it is from Pfizer. Okay. Now let us go to the next question. What is Vaxzevria? What is Vaxzevria? Anybody can make a guess. What is Vaxzevria? This is a tough question, I agree. What is Vaxzevria? Who manufactures that? Not Johnson and Johnson. Anybody else? Let us see who will guess this. Vaxzevria. Who manufactures this vaccine? BioNTech? No, that was the earlier one, not BioNTech. Vaxzevria. Anybody? No, wrong answers. Vaxzevria. It is something that you will be knowing already. It is a vaccine which is manufactured by a very popular one. It is already available in India in a different brand name. Okay, I have given you a very strong hint. So tell me who is manufacturing Vaxzevria. Yes, Pradeep is correct. Pradeep got the correct hint from me. Pradeep, it is true that Vaxzevria is manufactured by AstraZeneca. Okay, I will give it to Pradeep because he has. So I will take a call here. The following people will get the gift hampers. Dr. Kaushik, please tell me if my choices are correct. One is Dr. Lakshmi Shah. We'll give it to Dr. Tripathi. We'll give it to Pradeep, and we'll give it to Suchinder. So I'm announcing 4. Is it enough? Is it correct? My
Yes,
choices?
sir.
Yes, Dr.
Done,
Kaushik?
sir. Done, sir.
Okay,
Done, sir.
thank
Yes, sir.
you, President. Thank you, President of KRPA. Okay, so I'll come to my final slides. So what a smile. So here you see Julia Roberts who is giving a great beaming smile, isn't it? So attractive. So well, while Julia Roberts is smiling, there is a lot of research that has been done about the smile. At the University of California in Berkeley, there is a Mills College in which the class photos were studied for about 30 years. The longitudinal study was carried out. That is, they looked at the photograph and they tracked the women 30 years later. The genuine smilers were blessed with happier lives in terms of marriage, well-being, and career. So what does it mean? If you are a genuine guy with a genuine smile, you will have a better life. And a genuine smile means a Duchenne smile which reaches up to the eyes. There is a crow's nest which forms there through the orbicularis ocula muscle contraction. This lady is very attractive, but don't get taken in by her, Dr. Kaushik, because you are also very young. I am emphasizing to you, she is not giving you an original smile. That is a non-Duchenne smile. It is a fake smile. Smile is very important because it reduces the stress in your body. You feel good, you get good sleep. And we all like children because they smile a lot, because that makes us very happy. Children smile 400 times a day. Happy people smile 40 to 50 times a day. The average of us smile only 20 times a day. So partnering dentists and pharmacists, Group Pharmaceuticals with its excellent range of products, avoid the contact greetings, and also have very good precautionary measures. So now it's my privilege to introduce Dr. B. Ramesh sir, who is the principal dynamic gentleman. He is from Sri Adi Chunchandgiri College of Pharmacy, Nagmangala, Mandya. After completing his MPharm and PhD, he has been serving the profession in both the teaching and administration. He is known to be a prolific researcher, academician, and administrator. He is very active in all the various types of, what do you call it, organizations like IPA, APTI, and he has organized many events also at the international and national level. So it is indeed a great thing that we have Dr. Ramesh sir with us. So I will be hosting your presentation, sir. So it is all over to you. Thank you very much, Dr. Ramesh sir, for coming in, and all your students too are eager to listen to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sunil ji. Hope I am audible.
Excellent, sir. Please continue.
First of all, at the outset, my congratulations to you for what an insight you have given and opening remarks, Mr. Sunil ji. And I also take this opportunity to express my sincere thanks to Mr. Kaushik Devaraju, who is the president of Karnataka Registered Pharmacist Association. And I also would like to thank Group Pharmaceuticals for hosting this event along with Adi Chunchanagiri University. We are in a meeting room where the main speaker, Dr. Raghavendra, is also with me. And I will be mentioning my opening remarks in less than 5 to 6 minutes. In the last year, during the 2020 April, we were thinking of the COVID situation, pandemic, how to manage the lockdown, all those things we were discussing exactly 1 year back. Now, in 2021 April, we have already through with the vaccine. Since January, we are really thinking on the vaccination, all those things and all. That shows the Indian pharmaceutical company's strength. In quickest time possible, they have come out with the 2 vaccines, and they have produced the vaccine in a record time. As you all know, India is a front runner and torchbearer in the production of vaccine. Good news is that India has exported almost 6 crores of vaccine to the 69 countries, thanks to the initiatives by the central governments. And one interesting thing is that daily we require, as per the current running vaccination program, we may require around 25, the production is 25 lakhs per day. Now, with the campaign, we may require around 40 lakhs per day the vaccine. So that's why I request, take this opportunity to request all the general public and all
the Google form
and all the members to go for the vaccination in the quickest time possible. And okay, I will not take much time. Let's take a quick look at some of the top COVID-10 vaccines myths you should avoid by addressing in scientific spirit. And nearly 80 million doses of coronavirus vaccines have been administered so far. More than 60 million people have received the first dose, and 10 million have fully vaccinated after receiving the 2 doses. And you see the important thing, the central government minister showing the vaccine vial. It mentions that 5.84 crores doses of COVID-19 vaccines to the 70 countries. So this is a good news for all Indians, and especially to the pharma friends. And here India exports over twice the number of the doses that is used at home. And now there is a new terminology called as vaccine diplomacy. As you know, India has exported vaccine to the 69 countries, because of which the feel-good factor and in general across the global, they have understood the strength of the pharma hub of the India. And the top 10 COVID-19 vaccine myths, I will be complete. I will not go through all the 10 myths. The first one is COVID-19 vaccine cause infertility, which is on social media. It is spreading like anything. There is no scientific evidence to suggest that these 2 vaccines, Covishield and Covaxin, could cause the infertility in either women or men. This is totally a myth. And the vaccine trials were rushed so it can be unsafe. No, this is not true. As you know, the Indian regulators have given the EU, that is the emergency use authorization. So after the rigorous assessment of laboratory data and clinical trial data, including the data on quality, safety, the production effective, and antibodies efficacy, all these are evaluated in various preclinical phase 1, phase 2 and phase 3 studies. And risk versus benefit factor also is evaluated, and this emergency use authorization by Indian regulators is in line with the global guidelines also. The next myth is the COVID vaccine can weaken your immunity and infect you with virus. A lot of misinformation seems to be circulating in the air, claiming how COVID-19 vaccines can weaken the immunity and make you more vulnerable to SARS-CoV. However, that is not true. Instead, COVID vaccine help your immune system to identify deadly pathogens and enable them to fight against it. it does not weaken or overload the immune system in the way. Therefore, there is no way getting COVID vaccine can infect you with virus. And if you already had COVID-19, you don't need the vaccine. This is also not true. While proper to delay the vaccination processes, if you are infected with virus, I can give you my example. In October 2020, I have been infected with this COVID, and now I am done with my both the doses of this Covishield. That is not true. If you are infected also, you need to go for the vaccination. And you can stop wearing mask if you get a COVID shot. This is also not true. There is still a high COVID contraction risk is going on as second wave is coming. So this is also not true. I don't. The next myth is I don't have to get vaccinated if there is a herd immunity against COVID-19. This is also not real. A vaccine is an answer to the end of coronavirus. While vaccines have played an important part in eliminating the smallpox and reducing the incidence of polio by more than 99.9, success did not come overnight. So it is highly presumptuous to believe that vaccine will completely eradicate the coronavirus immediately, which is not. Vaccine cause autism. There is no evidence for this myth also. You don't need both the doses of corona vaccines. No, this is also, you have to take both the doses as per the current information and scientific data which is available. So in conclusion, I could say that disinformation around the vaccine can endanger lives. Adverse event following immunization is any untoward medical occurrence which does not necessarily have an causal relationship with the usage of vaccine. Most vaccine adverse events are minor and temporary, such as sore arm and mild fever. Thank you. This is my opening remarks. Now over to Sunil for further proceedings.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ramesh sir. It was very kind of you. Now it is my privilege to introduce Dr. Ramesh sir. So there is some info coming. I request you to mute. Okay. So in the Adi Chunchandgiri University, you got lot of these intellectuals and people who are engaged in research, science, and teaching in this excellent mud. So before I proceed, I request Dr. Raghavendra sir to first introduce himself, and then I will launch his webinar slides. Dr. Raghavendra sir, on to you. Please self-introduce. You have to unmute yourself, please.
So good evening, sir. Good evening, Kaushik sir. This is the first time I've been to a different forum where I am addressing apart from medicals or doctors. So I'm very thankful to Ramesh sir and Rajesh sir. So bringing me here and thought I will do justice for the vaccination related whatever issues we had with COVID-19. Thing is, we already know that. So we have been. It's been 1 year, more than 1 year. We are facing with the issues related physically, mentally, as well as socially, and health related. So we know that what it has caused COVID-19. So I am here to just give a glimpse. I think everybody know what's happening related to COVID. There were many articles, many different theories which has come up. So, but we don't have the clarity till now. So we have the theories which we cannot substantiate, or always we can have that evidence. This is what is right, but still it's fine. Whatever the evidence we have right now, we'll go through that. Vaccines first. I will. Okay, sir. Thank you. Can I start?
Yeah, you can please press. Yes.
Okay. I think this is the first picture. First, I want to put a disclaimer here. So I might be wrong when it comes to vaccines, the terminologies, because I'm not from pharmacy background, and also the drugs which are being there already. This is the first picture which I have shown. I think everybody knows this. This is a wave. We have seen the first wave. We are expecting second wave almost from 5, 6 months or more than that, which was there in the media for a long time, but now it is here. So that's why we are here to discuss about the vaccination per se. more than the COVID-19 disease as such. So already, Sunil sir has told briefly. I have shown many good pictures, and he has in detail has told what is COVID-19. Still, it is my duty to add on. So everybody know it is COVID-19. It is a SARS-CoV-2 vaccine. It is a single-stranded RNA virus, which can cause mild infection, just running nose, cold, to the lethal respiratory, which may lead to death. So WHO has learned virus in the 2019, 31st December. Then it became official that there was a pandemic around the world by the March 2020. So there is a burden. So as I put the numbers, as of globally, 8th April 2021, there were 13 crores of cases around the world with 28 lakhs of deaths. And there is also vaccine dosages which has been supplied and given to everyone. You can see from the picture, it is evident that the rise has begun. So it started from Brazil, US. Now it is in our country. The cases are rising every day. So you can see that in our country, the cases has crossed the long back 1 crore, and the deaths are also increasing day by day. So this is the latest picture which I have taken yesterday. You can see on April 7, it is 1,26,789 cases. When compared to 14 days, last 14 days, it was increased by 126%. And also you can see the deaths, it has increased by 167%. This same picture, the earlier when we had real problem, the max case which has been there for a day was 97,860. So the number has crossed, and you can see the huge difference between the first wave and the second wave. So these are the states which there is a reported increased number of cases which are been reporting. We can see Maharashtra is holding, I think per day cases around 68 to 70,000 we are reporting. Then Tamil Nadu, Telangana, Chhattisgarh, UP, Delhi, and also our state. So yesterday the number was in our Karnataka was 6,500 plus. So I'll go. Just I want to give you a glimpse of what is related to COVID-19. As everybody know the symptoms, earlier we used to tell the first symptom will be fever, followed by maybe cough, cold, loss of smell, loss of taste, even the all viral symptoms, viral fever symptoms, myalgia, loss of sensations, then burning of eyes, conjunctivitis. So now they are telling that the symptom can be anything. A simple weakness. We have seen in our hospital that patient came with weakness. Just we thought we'll subject them for a test, rapid test. It came positive. So we cannot tell that the symptom is this only. So it can be anything. The presentation is very wide. We cannot be very fixated that these are the only the COVID-19 symptoms. So that's why we'll talk about always two things. One is ILI, that is influenza-like symptoms, where you have fever, cough, cold, and one more is SARI, that is severe acute respiratory infection. Along with the ILI symptoms, there will be breathlessness, which is severe and which needs hospitalization. So what happens to people who get COVID-19? So once we have been exposed to COVID-19 patient or COVID-19 infection, so the 85% will have only the mild symptoms. So just normal fever, cough, cold. They don't require hospitalization. 15% will have the severity, means they become moderate. So they don't require hospitalization, but may they require oxygen therapy. And the severe one, it is critical, and they may need hospitalization, admission, even the ICU, intensive care. So who are the risk group for severe illness for COVID-19? It is 60 plus years. Then the people with comorbidities like diabetes, hypertension, heart diseases, kidney diseases, the cancer, even the lung problems, it can be cancer, lung cancer. Then COPD patients, bronchial asthma. So anybody who is having comorbidities, they are at risk group. It doesn't mean that there should be particular group. Anyone at any age group can get the infection. They may die without any obvious presentation. So are there long-term effects? Yes, we have seen the long-term effects in our family also. My in-law had the COVID-19 infection. So till now, it's been almost 8 to 9 months. Till now, she has neurological symptoms. She will tell, I have myalgia, I have headache, I have gastritis, I have burning sensation. It's been, we have visited many hospitals, we have taken to her to psychiatry, but in spite of that, the effects are remaining same. So it hasn't changed much. So apart from neurological symptoms, respiratory symptoms will also be there. Cough. I've seen patients telling headache. They don't have much head. They don't have the interest to do the routine activities. They will tell we have gastritis. So they frequently visit to our hospital. When should I get a test for COVID-19? As soon as we expose to a patient, so we need to get the test done on day 1. So it turns out to be negative. So we need to repeat the test on day 7. So that is mandatory because we don't know as soon as once you expose, it takes minimum 5 to 5 days to acquire the infection as such. You don't have the symptoms in the earlier period, that is window period. What test? We know that we have 2 important tests. One is rapid antigen test, other is reverse transcriptase polymerase chain reaction. Rapid test we'll do for symptomatic patients where patient having the symptoms, we'll subject them for rapid antigen test. If it turns out to be negative, we'll subject them for RT-PCR test also. We'll take both the nasopharyngeal as well as the throat swab. Whereas for rapid test, we'll take only nasopharyngeal sample. And also along with this rapid test and RT-PCR, so if patient is having symptoms, breathlessness or the increased cough, we can go for CT scan where we'll give CORAD score, that is COVID reading and the data system. So then can I get to know my past COVID-19 illness? Yes, if you have been exposed and you have taken treatment properly and you have been cleared of your infection, what you can do is you can go for a serological test, that is antibody test. So antibody, a few of the labs they will give it is positive and as well as positive or negative. Some of the labs they will give one cutoff value. Based on that, for example, I don't remember the lab, but less than 1.4 they have taken it as a negative, whereas more than 1.4 they take it as a positive. That means you have been exposed and you have the antibodies which can neutralize the infection if you expose in the future. Isolation or quarantine. If you are a positive patient, you need to isolate yourself for 14 days. Quarantine, it is for exposed individuals who have been exposed to positive patients. Same, doesn't make much change. Need to quarantine for at least 14 days. If exposed to a COVID-19 positive patient, what you need to do? First thing is you need to seek a healthcare. You need to call healthcare provider or who are there to private or the government. You need to give a call, or you can call the helpline number 1075 or 104. Then all the COVID measures like washing the hands, maintain the social distance, quarantining themselves for at least 14 days, and going for a test as early as possible. That is always fine. So this is a timeline. Discharge for isolation. Day 1 PCR test positive. The isolation for 10 days from the day of positive PCR test or on the day from the day of giving sample. After the day 10, so you can discharge for 11. There should be at least 3 days of asymptomatic phase. That is minimum 3 days. Then only you can we can tell that they have cleared the quarantine or the isolation period. So is there a vaccine for COVID-19? Yes, definitely. So there is from the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, they have the month of December, so they have released this COVID-19 vaccine communication strategy where they address these 4 key areas. One is information on COVID-19 vaccine. So one has to give information related to COVID-19. There should be a prompt and effective way and safe method of dispersing the information to the community. First, we need to tell this vaccine, which we are giving to the community, has passed all the trials, phases of the trial, clinical trials, and it is safe. Next is we need to tell what is the vaccination process, what is the eligibility criteria, where we need to register. After that, we need to tell what are the prerequisites before getting a vaccination. Then, what is the post-vaccination? What happens if you take vaccination? After that, we need to tell. Next is vaccine eagerness. So we know that everybody wants to take the vaccine as early as possible because we already sort of cage within the cage for a long time, and we know that it is not easy to stay within the homes, not meeting the friends, not going outside. So we want that vaccine as early as possible. We need to tell the community based on your eligible criteria. We know that first we have given for healthcare workers, then frontline workers, that was COVID. Then COVID 2.0, where we started giving to more than 60 years and 45 years with comorbidities. Now we have brought down the age, we have brought down the eligibility criteria. Only those who have or doesn't have the comorbidities, we still will give if the age group is more than 45. The main problem for any vaccine is it is vaccine hesitancy, because we are also facing, and we got a target that from the district or from the state, this many people have to take vaccines by the time period of within 1 month. So our target, they calculate based on 27.3% of the population are more than 45 years. We have the target, but it is very difficult. So those who know the vaccine importance, they will come. And already Sir has told what are the myths which are related to vaccine, taking vaccine. So we need to have that community engagement. We need to take the confidence of the local leaders. We need to use the media. We need to use the influencers, and we need to publish or write the articles from based on the evidence which we have acquired during this period. So that is vaccine hesitancy, and we know that from every vaccine there are certain areas where people will not come for vaccination. We know that, so we need to tackle that vaccine hesitancy. The final one was out of key areas, that is COVID appropriate behaviors. So we know that we need to use a mask regularly. It can be triple layer mask or N95. Frequently, we need to wash our hands with soap and water or sanitizer, and the physical distancing, social distancing, that is SMS. Then prompt testing whenever it is needed, and self-isolation. So these are the key elements. We have learned from this how we got these key elements is based on our previous vaccination, that is Mission Indradhanush, intensified mission in the measles rubella vaccination. So we have learned many things. So these are the these are the 5 key elements. So we need for communication strategy. One is advocacy, capacity building. We do regularly at the national level, state level, and as well as at the local level. Then media engagement is very much important. So that's why we have the national media response cell or team is there. So where they will percolate information which is very not positive vibe they create through their media. Then social mobilization, community engagement, we're told. Then AFI crisis communication. If some untoward event happens, Sir has told already what is AFI. If something goes wrong when we are giving vaccination or even after the vaccination on the same day, so their effects will be immediate or 2-3 days. It can be over a week also. So how the AFI need to be communicated to the public. So that also be one of the key element. So coming to vaccine. So already know that we have 2 types of immunity. One is active immunity, other is passive immunity. So passive immunity is mainly by immunoglobulins or the serum. This vaccine will develop active immunity. So it can be any substance, stimulate the production of antibodies and provide immunity for one or several diseases. So thereby it will not induce any diseases. So the vaccine background, I may be wrong, so because I have taken it 1st April. So around 184 vaccines are in preclinical phase, 31 in phase 1, 29 phase 2, phase 3 11, and approved are 13 vaccines. So we know that preclinical, it is mainly the animal studies, lab and animal studies. Phase 1 for only few people to test the safety. Then phase 2 will increase the number. So to test the safety and effectiveness. Then phase 3 is larger population and will monitor side effects. And phase 4 is long-term side effects. So broadly, we can divide any vaccine into three. This holds good for COVID-19 vaccine also. One is whole, that is mainly the inactivated vaccines and live attenuated vaccine. Inactivated or killed vaccine. Next is live attenuated vaccine, that comes under whole. Next is subunit vaccine. So subunit vaccines are got big for pneumonia, PCV, then acellular pertussis. Then next is genetic approach, that is nucleic acid vaccines, mRNA, DNA vaccines. So everybody tell that Sir has told the myth, not done properly. That is a myth. So the timeline has come down because one of the key change what they have done is manufacturing and development, which started as soon as they started do the testing. So earlier it used to take around 2 years to bring up a vaccine. Now they have brought it in within 6 months. So you can see from the picture, the majority of vaccines are it is protein subunit vaccines. Around 32% vaccines are protein subunit vaccines. Then viral vector, DNA vaccines. So live attenuated only 2. There is killed vaccine also. So majority are subunit vaccines. So during quiz time, we know Sir has asked what is Comirnaty. You can see the mRNA-based vaccine, which is from Pfizer Biotech, which is multinational. mRNA 1273 in US, China CoronaVac, UK COVID-19 vaccine. So Sputnik V, so from the Russia. Then Covaxin, Bharat Biotech ICMR. So COVID-19 vaccine, Johnson & Johnson. This vaccine has only 1 dose, whereas other vaccines, Covishield, Covaxin, we need to take 2 doses, whereas Janssen vaccines, it is only 1 dose. We know already, Covaxin, India's first indigenous COVID-19 vaccine from Bharat Biotech. So there is Bharat Biotech international vaccine, so it is in phase 2 trial. So these are the efficacy of the vaccine, but I want to tell whether the numbers, the efficacy, what is 94%, 95%, 62%, which vaccine will we go for? For given the chance, Covishield or Covaxin or other vaccines, which vaccine you need to go for? It happened in Detroit, the mayor, so he decided that the best vaccine should be given to his population. He wanted Moderna or Pfizer vaccines to be given. But after some time, he understood that it is not the efficacy, the number, the highest efficacy or 94%, 95% matters. Because many of the studies like Moderna, Pfizer, they have done in US for larger population, but which has only one variant, maybe one variant within their country. There are other vaccines like Johnson & Johnson, which has efficacy around 60 to 65%, done in different countries like South Africa, Brazil, Chile. So it has 65%. Because if we given the circumstances, same population or same study group, if you do the study, the efficacy may show differently. So the number doesn't matter. Whatever vaccines are there, they will not help you. Help out in getting the infection. So there are 0% chance of that. Even though if you are vaccinated, you will get the infection. But the severity, the hospitalization, that will be almost 0%, or it can be around 30%. So that's why the number doesn't matter. It is the vaccine, whatever vaccine it is available in your area, better to take it off. So this is a vaccination status. I think 9 crore doses of vaccine has been given recently. So Covaxin or Covishield, So they are very different. So the one is inactivity, the other is non-replicating viral vector. The Covishield efficacy when compared to Covaxin is less. But safety-wise, Covishield is better than Covaxin. It doesn't have much contraindications when compared to Covishield. And the doses for Covaxin has to be given within 4 weeks, whereas Covishield, earlier they used to tell for 4 weeks, any vaccine for that matter. It was for 4 weeks. Now they have increased the duration of between the doses to 6 to 8 weeks. So these are side effects. I think everybody has taken Covishield or Covaxin, so they can think that whatever the side effects they may have can relate it. So COVID-19 vaccine doses are administered March 31st. India stands second. When it comes to per 100 people, we stand low. It is only 4.72 per 100 people. And by this, whatever doses we are giving daily, by this pace, it takes 101 days to cover entire population of our country. So who can be vaccinated? Right now it is 45 years plus, so it will go for 18 years. Priority given to higher risk groups. I've told the side effects. So these are a few things I want to tell. If you have been vaccinated, still you need to wear a mask. You can still catch COVID-19. There is a chance that you can infect someone else. Only thing is, as if number of times you have been exposed, you get the infection, that the antibody starts getting neutralized. You can visit friends and family. If both are vaccinated, within the room we can spend time. You don't have to quarantine after exposure. If you are vaccinated, you should keep a vaccine record card handy, because we need to know how many doses we have taken, when we have taken. Travel is still discouraged. You may need a booster shot. Right now, the study says that this vaccination, the antibodies will stay for 6 months. But we don't have enough data to substantiate. We now presume that it is for 6 months. Booster dose, it is after 6 months of your second dose. So return to normal injection herd immunity, it still takes time. Until unless we reach the 75 to 80% herd immunity, it is very difficult to control the infection. So way forward, it is safe, effective. Vaccination continues to be critically important. So we know that largest vaccination drive in India in the world is our country. There is global demand supply mismatch. Sir has told vaccine diplomacy. I want to add one more. There is humanitarian buffer from the WHO. It means the countries who are very poor. We know that the more developed countries, they have the vaccines, the extra vaccines. There are poor countries who doesn't have vaccine. So we need to give, WHO wants other countries who have the vaccine to the poor world. That is humanitarian buffer. So after vaccination, can I be safe 100%? So then 4 COVID personality types. One believes in science, one denies science, one doesn't understand science, one believes in magic. So these are measures we need to follow. So I want to acknowledge Sanjay K. Rai sir, my colleagues Shashikant Eske, and my friend who helped in preparing my slides. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much, sir. It was very illustrative and very engaging. I want Dr. Kaushik's help. I'll be just sharing. You tell me whether whether you can see the slide, Dr. Kaushik.
Yes, I can share it. Yeah, I can see it.
You can see it. Okay, right? So this is just to drive home an important point. Dr. Raghavendra sir's profile. Dr. Raghavendra sir has completed his MBBS from Adi Chunchandgiri Institute of Medical Sciences, MD from JJM Medical College, Davangere, and he has tremendous teaching and administrative experience, and he has published several international and national journals. He has a lot of academic experiences. That is why he was so lucid in his delivering the very strong technical topic, and he has definitely illuminated us with various aspects on the COVID-19 as well as the vaccine. Dr. Raghavendra sir is a master trainer for Project Hope. He has several academic oriented projects which he does as a teacher, and he is dedicated to the cause of social sciences. So indeed, thank you very much, sir. It was very kind of you
Thank you,
to
sir. Thank you so
join
much.
us.
The
It was,
opportunity.
yeah, thank you. But there are one or two questions. I
Yes,
will
sir.
start
I'll do
posing
it.
them. You please
Definitely.
kindly reply. One is Dr. Narmada wants to know what happens if a person takes 3 doses of Covishield vaccine. I
So
don't
fine,
think it
fine.
is easy to get self-administer vaccines, but still, please.
Sir, fine, sir. It won't be a problem. So, but you need to give time for generation of antibodies within the body, sir. So if you take 3 doses, it won't be a problem. But if there are no trials, if there are trials which tells that the third dose, when you are taking the third dose, that is very much important. If the third dose is a booster after 6 months, it's well and good. If you are taking after 1 month of the second dose, we don't have enough studies, but nothing harm in taking. No harm.
Okay. So ideally, the third dose should be taken as a booster. That will be 6 months, whereas
Yes.
the second dose is after 6 weeks. Thank you so much. Ramesh is a very engaging guy. He has asked actually 3 questions. One by one, I will field them. The first
Okay.
is, according to you, which drug has the promising efficacy on COVID-19? So it's not related to vaccine. If you can take the question, you can take it. So which
Sir,
drug?
it is related to COVID-19 treatment.
Yeah, COVID-19. Yes.
Sir, that's why if it is based on the severity, whether it is mild, moderate, or severe. But when it comes to severe, so whatever drugs we are giving, as I already told, there is no much difference. First, they usually used to tell ivermectin can be given for the mild cases. But what we saw in our setup, the ivermectin may not be that much helpful. In spite of that, also with other drugs can be given. But the one drug which is very helpful in the severe cases of COVID, it is steroids, methylprednisolone. We have seen the cases where they have improved a lot. But the only problem was many of them developed diabetes in the later period. And remdesivir we are giving. So earlier, very difficult to get remdesivir everywhere. Now, with the lower class, Zydus Cadila, they have brought around 900 rupees remdesivir. So even there is CORAD score of 5, with CTA severity of score of 10 or 8, they've started giving remdesivir.
Okay, because government has issued guidelines to pharma companies to increase the production of remdesivir. They are expecting some more number of cases. So Tripathi is asking, favipiravir is also equally effective as remdesivir. What is your take on that, sir?
Not for severe cases, sir. You can go for mild cases. You can go for it. Mild, moderate also. But we'll give favipiravir. It doesn't mean they should not give, but it doesn't match with the remdesivir, sir. So you can give.
It appears that in severe cases, this remdesivir is becoming the gold standard. No other drug.
Fine.
Okay. So would you like to ask some questions which are being fielded, Dr. Kaushik?
See, one of my friend has not sent the question here, but he sent me personally saying that, what happens if an alcoholic person takes a vaccine and till how many days he should be like not taking any alcohol?
The discussion is going on, sir. Everybody knows that. Everyone, the social media, even whoever comes to our setup to get the vaccination, they will tell, sir, and kudila badva, sir, and they definitely ask.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
But what alcohol will do is the immunity. It will bring down your immunity. So I already told vaccines will help in getting active immunity. So it will stimulate our own immune system to develop the antibodies. That may hamper, sir. So if you take alcohol, that may hamper, but there is no exact period that you need to have alcohol after how many days of vaccination. So still we'll take it as 45 days of second dose. Till then you can avoid alcohol.
Yeah, so what it means is alcohol vaccination interaction is not well studied and avoid the alcohol in the intervening period.
Yes,
Any other question you want to ask? Anne Gowda has asked something, Kaushik.
On the basis of what research decides the efficacy on a vaccine? Like any research institute decide the efficacy of a vaccine? Anne Gowda has asked.
Any vaccine to that matter, so they will see how many will get infected first, how many will have the complications, how many have the side effects. Any trials are not only vaccine, for any drug to that matter, they will take all this into consideration and how many doses are required, whether it is 1 dose, 2 doses, or 3 doses. What dosage, when it comes to dosage, whether that is 0.5 ml, 1 ml, or 0.5 gram, anything. So they will take everything into consideration within the least available concentration or the dosages, what efficacy it is giving, they will take into consideration.
One more question is that what is the rationale behind deciding the days after this frequency you should take 4 weeks or something? What is the rationale behind that?
We have also confusion, because for every vaccine right from the childhood, I think if you see the schedule, national immunization schedule, they tell that 1.5 month, 2.5 month, 3.5 month. So they have they are long since long time they have studied them. So if we give 1 month period, the generation of antibodies after the vaccination, it starts from day 2. So if you give that minimum, that's why it is minimum. So they after 1 month also you can take the vaccination. It's not a problem. But the minimum period to develop antibodies to that particular dose, it takes around one month. Sir. And there are other vaccines which can be taken after 1.5 months also. But there is a different combination, but we need to know what type of vaccine we are giving, whether it is live attenuated vaccine, whether it is killed vaccine, subunit vaccine. There are vaccines which both live attenuated vaccines you cannot give. So being killed vaccine, there is a different, certain vaccines, there is combination we should not give. So I can't tell exactly from where we have got this 4-week window period. So just they tell from the previous experiences from other vaccines, they tell like that. So they will do the antibody titer.
Sir, Pradeep has an interesting question. If I don't think it can happen in India, but if supposing a patient has taken Covishield and second dose, can he take Covaxin?
You shouldn't take, in fact. So if they take, I told you, sir, different vaccines. Same thing holds good for rabies vaccine also. If you're taking purified cell culture vaccine and you're taking the Cambria, it is not there. So other type of vaccine that you won't have much effect. But after that, you need to take second dose of vaccine, whatever taken in the last immediate.
Yeah, and I have taken the Covishield vaccine, and I did experience some of the side effects which you detailed. Okay. So people have wanted to know why these side effects occur. I mean, you have any take on that, sir?
Sorry, sir, I don't have answer for that. Maybe the type of vaccine, the generation, whatever ingredient, what other ingredients they add into that, maybe there may be the reason, sir. And inactivated, we know that live attenuated vaccines has more side effects when compared to killed vaccine. When you compare killed vaccine to subunit vaccine, killed vaccine has more side effects, sir.
Okay, that's your experience. And sir, what about taking paracetamol or diclofenac after the vaccination?
Even we didn't know that. The first case, what happened in Madurai doctors, earlier we didn't know that diclofenac cannot be given. So now we are avoiding diclofenac, but we have given test dose for a few people, and we observe nothing has happened. If you take diclofenac on the same day also, nothing will happen. Mainly the sensitivity reaction, hypersensitivity reactions that might have caused 1 in 1,000 expected, sir. So the drug reactions.
So better go with paracetamol. Yeah, better go with paracetamol.
And also what happened, one of the healthcare worker, we gave first dose, she had developed reactions, mild reactions. When she came to our setup, she took in other setup. So when she came to our setup, she didn't tell that she had reactions.
Oh.
But luckily, so developed only chills. There only after giving the vaccination, nothing has happened. So anything it may holds good or bad depends on the day who are giving the vaccination, who are there in the setup, looking after them.
Sir, you have administered so many vaccines. Any interesting behaviors you've seen in the patients? And like how do they respond, or how do you give confidence to them, etc.?
Sir, before giving vaccination, we counsel them, sir. So these are the side effects you're going to. This is the way we'll give when we have to come up. Peculiarly, we have not seen anything. So when we used to take, when healthcare workers used to take, we have that hesitancy. Even many of the doctors, they didn't come up. Even my own staff, I insisted them to come and get the vaccine. They didn't come up. But what we experience in the symptom side effects are different. What the community, the public are experiencing. So many had symptoms. Now it is very different. But if people are coming up, means there are no much side effects. That they are not experiencing at all. So we have seen not even fever, the chills, headache, nothing are many of the cases. So that's why the community are coming up.
So which means the side effects are very manageable. So confidence should be there among people to go and take whichever the vaccine is. Doctor is saying both are equivalent. You can go ahead and take manageable adverse effects if at all they occur. So no problem. Annegowda, you have asked about the children vaccination. Well, you know that Pfizer is the first one to go and give it there in America, but other people have not done the clinical trial. Viresh, what about children getting COVID, and what about vaccines not evaluated for children? It will take some time, and nasal vaccines are still in process of research. And any other questions? Okay, one last question. This RT-PCR test, will it help you to know which type of a variant? Is it the UK variant, or it is?
No, just it will tell it is COVID. That's all. We cannot
that's
be
right,
exactly. About that.
So that was a question from Ramesh. It was fantastic. Thank you so much, Dr. Raghavendra sir. You have taken time to build the vaccine confidence among the listeners. There have been public, there have been students, and there are so many pharmacists also are listening to you. So thank you very, very much. And it was obvious that everybody was spellbound by your presentation, or let us say by your talk. Now I go over to our young and dapper Dr. Kaushik. Dr. Kaushik is a very dapper. Dapper means always well-dressed, dynamic, and he is a startup entrepreneur. He has created his own firm, which is basically into a kind of a healthcare channel targeting the different salons, beauty and trichology, that is a healthcare channel for the trichology as well as the skincare channel. So it is a developing story. It's an interesting experiment, and let us say an economic solution that he is doing, and it's called as Saloon Guru. So Guru, please, the stage is yours. You can please tell something, one or two sentences about your startup, and then you can propose the vote of thanks, because many of the young kids will also be inspired.
Yes. So, first of all, let me say hi to most of my friends who I missed. For the, I think this is the webinar that is happening after a long gap, I believe. Let me say a very good evening to the senior pharmacy students from different pharmacy colleges, pharma friends, and to most of the teachers who are in the different pharmacy colleges. I know the crowd has not been turned up. Maybe it's just picking up. Hopefully, in the next webinar, we'll all turn up, I believe. And I used to get a lot of messages saying that we miss Sunil sir, as the webinars are not conducting very often. I think today also very proven why they miss Sunil sir so much. And coming to my startup, it was just an idea that came up during one of the hackathon that was conducted by Government of India, Smart India Hackathon. So that idea turned into an commercial aspects. So small things are happening. I think as Sunil sir tells and speaks, and all the different things that he could do. He can do to bring the students and as well as the academic perspective to the so much very experience, and also gave a very good insight about the present COVID situation and what are the myths that most of the people are following, what are the myths that doesn't exist and all. And today's speaker Raghavendra sir, I think he gave all about the insights about the COVID-19, and he also answered so much queries raised by our attenders. I see our director of KRPA, Pradeep Kumar, asking so many questions today. That was also very much unexpected, but it's nice that many people are attending and asking. Annegowda sir, Viresh, and congratulations to all the quiz winners of today's program. And as I think our PCI president, Dr. B. Suresh, always tells this, this is the era of collaboration. I think our collaboration with Aditya Chingari College has gone one level ahead. I think we are also in talks for the industry and academic partnership and some of the things that are happening. I think also Sunil Attawar sir had recently visited to Aditya Chingari for his graduation day, and also spoke a lot about industry and academic collaboration. Hopefully this will continue to happen, and we also wish that Aditya Chingari College goes way ahead and grows, and many students see the fruit of it. And last but not the least, we have with us, as always, charming, dynamic person with us, Sunil Suplinkar sir, who always made possible, to the answer webinar. I think we missed you, sir, as most of your attendees told us. We also missed it, but as you're back, hopefully this thing will keep on continuing. And we are also happy that you always keep the sessions very lively also. Thank you, Sunil sir.
Thank you, boss. It was very kind of you, but unfortunately they have put their video off. I wanted Dr. Ramesh sir as well as now you are on. Dr. Ramesh sir, I was projecting you, but your video was off. Now you have come back. Thank you so much, Dr. Ramesh sir. You talked very finely, and it was indeed a great joy to have both Dr. Raghavendra sir and Dr. Ramesh sir. So as a parting shot, you can just wave goodbye to all the attendees. Of course, the numbers have come down now, but the core members are there. Thank you, Dr. Ramesh sir, Dr. Raghavendra sir.
Yes, thank
So
you.
I take your permission, Dr. Kaushik, to close the webinar.
Yes, thank you, Sunil sir. Thank you.
Thank you.